and online virtual exhibition. And right now, and then I realized that I was having some technical issues. Maybe now the setup might be a little bit better. So I just wanted to continue. We are now at the artist that you can actually see over there. I'm getting the notification that is going live to the YouTube and others. So hopefully this will be working. We'll see in the comments. Ruben, hello, welcome, and thanks for the high award. Appreciate it. So anyway, I don't know whether, because now this is a separate, like a continuation to the previous stream, like if people want to learn more about the artists that I've been presenting before, maybe you can just click, see the history, and then be able to join in and see. Also, I said the curatorial statement and was right. I was talking a little bit about all of the artists. So right now we are at the artist Aurelia Christag. As you can see, very, very interesting. It's these locations. Again, it's connected in terms of in the contextual sense of as part of the of the curating for this exhibition, is that it has this element of the spatial, whether it's internal or the external. So this definitely has. Oh, sorry, I think we have in here a mistake. Hold on a second, this location. I'll have to be reading about this. Sorry, there was a mistake in this one. I have to be reading from this text. Yes, excellent. And please disregard what's on the text. That's going to be fixed. So Aurelia Christag is born 1992, is a Swiss photographer and visual artist. She uses photography as a tool to explore the alteration of human memory in a world overwhelmed by digital entities. Working both with film and digital photography, her works reflect on the constant use of mechanical recordings, especially in public and cultural places. After graduating with BA in Art History and Film Studies in Lausanne, she completed an 8-week photography program at the New York Film Academy in New York. In 2018, she graduated with an MA photography from UAL, University of Arts London. This location depicts the alteration of landscapes through digital topography. Every pattern of land represents a variation of time and space in both digital and physical world. These patchworks of sceneries taken from Google Earth express how the diverse the location on our planet can appear through a digital apparatus. These transfigurations were digitally seized by a dispositive used to capture landscapes, but also physically transformed by the global warming produced by human beings. Both changes depict the unpredictable development of landscape during our tumultuous time. So yes, so that's what's going to be. This has to be editing in terms of the technical on the website. So apologies to the URL for this mishap. I just noticed. Hi again, welcome, Tommy. So yeah, we're continuing in here, and so everybody please disregard the description. This is for referring to another artist. There has been a mishap on the website in here, so that will be corrected after this live stream. And what's relevant is actually what I've just read, which is about the location. So the artist is using the Google Earth and is referring to the fact how we are, as a humanity, how we are affecting the changes. We are terraforming, and there is all of these issues with the global warming and the environmental changes, which is definitely something that should be tackled, and how we are interacting as a community, as the whole civilization. So now on to the next artist in this exhibition. I think we may be halfway through. Katie Watson. This is again a little bit connected to the environment. Now I have maybe a stack, how can I put that, of the artists that are linked in this sense. Constructed on bare birch plywood, the paintings celebrate the inherent qualities of this traditional construction material, upon which I explore diagrammatic form and mechanical language. My process involves the accumulation of diagrammatic information found in instructional flat pack furniture booklets, vehicular maintenance manuals, and model construction kits. I then reinterpret fragments of this information through painting multidimensional assemblages and dysfunctional objects. This one is called Forecaster. Description: Forecaster, all on birch plywood, 45 by 3105, from the series Methods of Construction. Very interesting, isn't it? This one, and somehow Forecaster, it also associates me to the, forecasting the I wanted to say environment, because this is now a topic of the last few artworks, but also in terms of the climate. And somehow it's resembling, it's making this association to my mind. I don't know how it's in your case. So everybody, please feel free to comment as to what do you see and how you see what I'm sharing in here. It's wonderful to have everybody joining in the live stream, and also for the replay viewers. Now, the next artwork is by Linda Chapman. Now, this is very interesting, and I had the pleasure of exploring actually more than one piece. Obviously, as I've said before, this is exhibition where it could be only one piece per artist, and there was 28 in honor to the 28th of January, and it's the first online virtual opening on this particular website. So this one is titled Outside in Two. I often work with windows, using the reflections and the light passing through the glass. This one gave me the story I wanted, that was going on inside and on the street outside, in a very pleasing selection of colors. I'm always interested in what can be achieved naturally. Therefore, I use natural light at its most playful and colorful, and natural shadows and reflections together, emphasizing so much that usually can barely be seen. I try to show what amazing art surrounds us on the street, and just how exciting our urban environment can be if you look at it in different ways. I don't use filters, manipulation layers, or any other tricks. I work with refraction that occurs naturally. So this is very interesting. And when I'm personally thinking about the windows, like for us, or the eyes, this is the natural window, right? And then it has a lot of symbolism in all of this. Mark, welcome. Thanks so much for joining, and welcome to this very, very interesting experimentation. Oops, are we having issue with connection? No, it seems to be okay. Are we connected? Yeah. Okay, seems to be okay. I just saw a little bit of glitching there. So we had earlier on some, actually, it's again glitching. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know why is this. How can I check? Are we working? Because my internet is just underneath the computer. So it shouldn't be an issue. Let's make a pause a little bit. So it's truly a pleasure to be exploring the world and sharing, and also using this space as an online exhibition opening, right? So yes, but to go back to the artist, Linda Chapman. Let's see what's a glass. Yes, so I've in here I've like there was many artworks that she sent for review, for exhibition, and I've selected this one because I think it's the one that's really is really referring to so many of us, because we all have these windows, and then we look at the gray, sometimes gray reality outside. I don't know how it is for you guys, how do you perceive this? But for me, sometimes it's a great reality outside, and it's the kind of colorsome inside. And I think that she's trying to instill the meaning in these fragmental aspects. As you can see, the windows, they all have life of its own, and then it's kind of is changing the rigid structure of the cranes, is giving it a little bit more organic or biological aspect, plus this kind of floating creatures in the upper part. So anyway, now next to the next artist is the Philip Westcott, and it's called Recycled. So again, it's a reoccurring theme, as you see. Let me see. Yes, recycled. What I found interesting was that after working on landscapes, my mark making on the abstracts were more free flowing with swirl and curls. I wondered if these more spontaneous paintings were influenced by the natural shapes of landscape, revealing an unknown response to nature. It seems that these works evolved that my cityscape work was having an impact on my mark making just as effectively as my landscapes, with the work becoming more linear and geometric in shape. I wondered if my abstracts were revealing an inner consciousness about the subject matter. It's something that I hope to explore in the future. So you see in here a lot of layers. It's very much, connected to this inner reflection. The responses, the interaction between the nature, between the geometry and the non-geometry, and then the spontaneity, and how actually I think that in fact the color, which is using Philip is using very much a structural color and the structural way of a space, and how it's interacting in a very nice way. Let's see if there is the yeah, maybe I can take a look at the site in this throwaway world. Yeah, let's read the artist statement as well. In this throwaway world where the importance to recycle is becoming more evident and the reimagining of the use of waste material is growing, I decided to use my leftover oil paints again to create new pieces of artwork rather than throwing them away. Moving out of my normal painting zone, which the oil-based landscapes and cityscapes, I thought about trying something different by creating abstract works of art where I could find beauty from the leftover paint that would usually have been discarded. A series of 5 paintings emerged over a period of time, and the finished results proved to me that leftovers can be just as dynamic and worthwhile as the original. Very noble and very actually, it's very not active, it's very relevant to our times. Very, very relevant. Just one moment. Uh, so what we have now, the next artwork is Cat Hamilton, as you can see from yes. So now this one is actually properly positioned. Self-portrait, hide and seek. This image was inspired by the song Hide and Seek by Howard Jones. I incorporated it as a self-portrait as the song really touched me in a lot of ways. I wanted to show the separation I can feel from life and others. While I know in some way that we are all connected, it's hard to remember that sometimes. I wanted to express the sense of uncertainty I felt during the first lockdown and daring to believe that everything will work out for the better, depicted by the blank white spaces open to the possibility of new future yet to be written. There is a line on the song Hide and Seek that I resonate with. Then, as part of the game, she completely forgot where she had hidden herself and she spent the rest of her time trying to find the parts. I feel that this image is representative of me trying to find the parts of myself that are hidden. It's very much connected to also the other artwork. I think that I presented just a moment ago. Let me find out if there is the art statement. Maybe I can, it's a bit a long art statement. So I'm just going to maybe share some. So during her time as a photographer, I've worked behind the scenes on a couple of India films, music video, charity, and other events. So I love to engage in my own self-led projects. My work has been digitally and physically exhibited in several galleries across Europe and by online galleries, featured in magazines, and discovered after being interviewed on a radio show recently. Self-portrait. Added layers of different effects, and yes, so I wanted to also read this aspect of I add layers and different effects until I get my images to the place that feels right and gives me an accurate interpretation of what I was feeling at the time. Even if it's not obvious to the observer, my work is deeply personal and the true meaning is not known unless I share it. I've been inspired by many people. Love the work of Brooke Shadens as well as Pep and Toza. I love how they have crafted their own style, which is what inspired me to be confident in my way of expressing myself creatively. Love how abstract art gives me permission to create without it being wrong or technically correct, as it's my expression and not a photo begging to be seen as correctly exposed, well lit, etc. So there we have another aspect of the humanness, in my opinion. So now the next artwork is Nicola Turner, The Contemplation 2020. I think this one is very interesting. Pianoscope. Just now I was sending. Oh, please do so. Yes, definitely. So and thank you for the Stay Safe Award. You too as well. So now we are going to be exploring the work of Nicola Turner. Let me just bring out the statement. So Nicola Turner investigates mortality, vitality, or eroticism, mass, and fusion. She explores. Okay, I thought it was Nicola. he. She explores the interconnection of life and death, human and non-human, attraction, and repulsion. In her work, she combines found objects that hold traces of memory, materials from organic dead matter, example horsehair and clay, and she shapes of human form and the shapes. She explores the connection of humans to objects and each other and the awareness of death as a way of affirming life forces amidst confusion and the unsettled. Her work has resonance with the concept of the object and the capacity of the world to disorient and connect to primal instinct. She's interested in the dissolution of boundaries and looking at the in betweenness of things, exploring how humans are ecosystems that exchange and overlap with other ecosystems not bounded by skin or death. Her work and methodology have both been looking at challenging individuality and creating awareness of the wider interconnected energies of which we are all a part of. So this is a series, The Contemplation 2020, mixed media, including the horse show, core, and steel. George Battelle writes of the cultural shame of filled sexual function and death, and how our horror of nature is linked to the fantasy of independence. I'm interested in the dissolution of these boundaries and looking at the in betweenness of things, exploring how humans are ecosystems that exchange and overlap with other ecosystems, not bound by the skin. So that's already a part of the description. Very interesting, isn't it? Wow, now it's a very bright light. Okay. Well, I don't know. Actually, what happened is I didn't know when was I going to do the live stream, and so I didn't notify them on time. I just notified. Yeah, have a great time. Thanks. I just notified them very short notice, so it's probably going to be on a replay. But on the next exhibition, I will try to get more interaction with the artists because there was a lot. There is oftentimes a lot of work before something like this could be organized. It actually took me several days because there was over almost 300 submissions. Now, next artwork is by Charles Binns. Now, apologies if I'm mispronouncing, or sometimes I even get confused as to whether it's the gender of the artist. So the artist statement, Charles Binns, my practice is concerned with loss, the loss of biodiversity and pristine natural habitats, the loss of past cultures, and my art presupposes the eventual decline and loss of our own civilization as a result of our activities and our wanton destruction of the nature. Using casts of man-made objects found on beaches and riverbanks, I create objects that imagine the record that our civilization is leaving behind for future generations to find and ask what this will say about our civilization and its effects upon the environment. The objects I find are rearranged as sculptures that might be found on a future archaeological survey whose significance remains a mystery, or as the plastic fossil record that we are leaving in the rock strata for tomorrow's geologists to unearth. Fossil number 2. Let me just check if everything is okay for a moment. Yes, the fossil number 2. The artwork was inspired by conversation I had with the geologist on the Isle of Arran, during which we discussed how immense pollution of the oceans would leave a layer of rock in the geological record that was encrusted with fossilized plastic waste. I therefore made casts of plastic jetsam I collected from beaches and rearranged these to create a fossil-like object. Imagining how the Anthropocene age will be viewed from the record it leaves behind. What does our fossilized legacy say about humanity and and how we have treated our planet? Very interested. Again, it's connected to the humanity. Yeah, thank you so much. So now, wow, this brightness of the light is very bright. I need to hide in this shade, in this very mysterious shade of the French windows in front of me. So yes, so now we are going on to the next artwork, the next artist, Miguel Sopena. Actually, Miguel tweeted yesterday. Did a little bit of the homework, discovered my work, and then retweeted about the exhibition on his Twitter. So I was very happy to see that. And now we are going to be exploring a bit of his work. As you can see, I actually have to read everything because for some reason it's not giving me the full width, at least what I'm seeing in here right now. I think it's not giving me the full width of the website. Let's just get Miguel Sopena. I hope I'm pronouncing properly, Miguel Sopena. So I'm just going to be reading his artist statement in first, how do you call that, in first case. I became an artist after completing my PhD in theoretical physics at Sussex University in southern England in 2013. I went on to complete a BTEC Foundation Diploma in Art and Design at Brighton City College in Brighton and a 2-year portraiture diploma at the Heatherley School of Fine Art in London. I'm originally from Valencia in eastern Spain, but have been based in the UK since 1998. My studio is currently based at Turf Projects in Croydon, South London. My interests as an artist are very diverse, but at present I work primarily as a painter. I trained as a portraitist and I retain a keen interest in the human figure and figurative painting, but at the same time, and since my graduation, I've been busy developing an abstract and a semi-abstract pictorial language. My work with the human figure ranges from quick studies in a variety of media, graphite, chalk, ink, and watercolor, among others, to large pieces and finished portraits. Some pieces are quick and instinctual responses, others are the result of careful observation in a longer work process. The starting point for my abstract pieces can be a quick improvisation using color or collage, a play with composition on a piece of paper, a photograph of a cityscape or landscape which is abstracted on the canvas, or at the other extreme, as in the case of my ongoing Dania series, an investigation into memory and emotion which is processed into a pictorial piece. I created work because I see creativity as a necessity. Even when the starting point for a given work is technical or very playful, the creative process is loaded with feeling. The expression of emotion is at the heart of my practice. So this is titled Dania Series Moon. As you can see, the Dania Series Moon oil painting in pastel media and marble dust on canvas. The large format paintings my Dania series are based on the sights, textures, and sensory input of the town in eastern Spain, where I spent many summer months with my family as a child and adolescent. The series is based entirely on physical and emotional memory rather than on any actual imagery or physical mementos, and draws on the persistent and deeply emotional quality of early impressions. Technically, the initial ideas for the series developed into the abstract, strongly geometric language executed with heavy oil impasto mixed with marble dust and worked throughout thoroughly with a palette knife to create rough, unique texture. Layers of washes are also part of the vocabulary of the series. Skill plays a major part in the impact of these pieces. Interesting, because also the artist that we were talking about earlier on, also there was a bit of importance on the scale. So this is very, very confusing, this light situation that I'm having right now. Okay, maybe this is actually better. Maybe not so much for me, but let's continue on to the next artist. So as you can see, there is a quite textural and a lot of the sunny. I definitely see the sea, the sunniness of the Spain, and of course the history. Catherine Paisley. I hope that I'm pronouncing the surname properly. Is the next piece. The moments we are missing. There's a lot of fleshness, a lot of red in here. So, artist statement. In his piece, Wait, 2000, Dryden Goodwin separates a moment into three parts: anticipation, realization, aftermath. I'm interested in the transition between anticipation and realization. I explored this transition through representational oil paintings, experimental video installation, and audio work. Drawing on the Anthropocene, the proposed geological epoch defined by the undeniable and irreversible impact of human activity on the Earth's biology. As my main subject, my works explore themes that demand urgency, that highlight a lack of control, and that evoke a sense of inevitability, such as nuclear weapon launches and the passing of youth. The aim of my work is to wake the viewer up to the world around them, to bring them into a state of realization, to turn people out and away from Plato's allegorical cave. I want to immerse the viewer in the oh shit movement. The moments we are missing. Recently, I've been moving away from making work based on the evidence behind the Anthropocene. My current work is exploring youth coming of age and the messy escapism that comes with it. I'm comparing our reaction to the Anthropocene destruction of the world's natural system to our reaction to growing up into adulthood. Just as with the Anthropocene, when we come to terms with the reality of growing up, it all just seems too much, and rather than facing it head on, we spiral and seek out other problems. We choose escapism over solution. I think this is a feeling that will resonate with all generations. I find comparisons with my lines of thought and Plato's allegory of the cave. In the allegory, prisoners are shacked facing the back wall of the cave. Behind them is a road that people travel on. The prisoner experience these people as shadows. When the prisoners are released from their chains, they run out of the cave into the light, experience the people and objects as they truly are. The prisoners cannot cope with the reality and so run back to the cave, and the shadow on the wall. In the allegory of the shadows represent a false reality, an illusion, and of the truth. I think this is an incredibly relevant time to be exploring this line of thought. The pandemic, a symptom of the Anthropocene, has come along, and rather than creating a dystopia, it revealed that we have been living in one all along. I read an article the other day that said women under 25 finances hit worst by virus, and another that claimed that the under 25 population are most likely to be working in unstable public sector and therefore be vulnerable to the redundancies. Finding the right path for your future is hard enough, let alone doing it during a pandemic. With little to no savings in unstable employment, with a government that will throw you under the bus, facing a financial depression, and thinking about how you are going to be paying COVID off through your taxes till you die. Very, very relevant and very deep. I think this piece is very important, actually, and also the association to the association to the Plato's cave, and in general, the Plato's world is super fascinating, actually. So yes, let's continue now on to the next artist. Now, this one is very interesting. Now, from the physical world, as I've been putting together the artworks of the kind of, the Anthropocene, the questions of environment, how we are interacting with so many things. And then in the last one, especially this in between the anticipation and what's happening at the realization. Now we come over to the control over the cloud. Now everybody is familiar with this. This is a known symbol, right, of our going into the cloud more and more all the time. So now let's just explore a little bit the art statement. Sorry about this pause. Lorraine Boyce Mariage. I don't know if I'm pronouncing pronouncing properly. Lorraine, oh, sorry, I need to find, yes. Control Over the Cloud by Lorraine Bois-Merage. Just a little bit about she's originating from France, living and actively working across both Estonia and Finland. Developed protein artistic practice through installation, photography, and digital art. Starting where image is omnipresent, I make an exclusive use of visuals gleaned on media in regard to the present ever-growing hyper-accessible stream of images which are all familiar with, which we all contribute to. I keep on recycling and favor picture editing versus taking or making. Today, I'm much concerned with investigating the boundaries between amateur art and professional productions, grounded in appropriation. My works playfully cite, borrow, sample, mix, and blend from here and there. I regularly present group and solo exhibition and the recipient of multiple distinctions participate to various cultural events internationally. Now, a little bit that was about the artist. Now, a bit about the artwork. Control Over the Cloud is the deceptive interaction installation. It depicts a storm cloud made out of hundreds of small images of a power button crossed by what seemingly is a thunderbolt on one end and the growth curve on the other. That was interesting. The installation is of illustrative nature, pointing intricate relations between climate power and economy. While awareness is raising about how capitalism relates to global warming, engineering trends to emerge as a solution against climate change. On the same note, popular discontent is raging with an increasing sense of impotence and fear of irrelevance. Number of us feel the urge to gain better understanding and greater command of environmental issues. Control Over the Cloud looks upon the promises and mirages of interactive technologies and asks itself how to distinguish tools of empowerment from those of control. This is fantastic, fantastically relevant, actually. Tools of empowerment over the tools of control, right? It's exactly what the life in which we actually find ourselves in. We seem to be sometimes having a bit of like a issue with the connection. I don't know. Actually, yeah, I should check if this is properly streaming, because now we are approaching the last. So there is still some more artists to go because this is a large scale exhibition. Let me just find in here. Yeah, is this properly streaming for a moment? Okay, there seems to be working in here. Okay, now Alana Lindsay. The destructive creating is about mark making, and mark making is about immortality, fear, life, purpose, and death. I feel that these reasons are why my works hold a subtle grotesqueness and why I feel drawn to a particular color, a palette, or even why I cannot settle on one aesthetic or one form of medium. I see all my works to be a document of performance, a mark left behind. But if the marks I have made are a document of a performance, then when did the art happen? It's titled I Feel Sick. Just see in here, Alana, let's see if there is something interesting in the art statement. If this artwork is haunted by the document, then the document is haunted by the idea of the artwork. I'm interested, sorry, I think this is the art statement. Yeah, this is the art statement. So, did I make a mistake? One moment. Yeah, actually, no, this is the artwork. Interesting self-control, impulse, desires, and regression. Express these themes through means that feel appropriate. My practice is a constant battle between painting, sculpture, and existential thoughts. Explore my own uncertainty and the concept of purpose. My paintings feel as if they are struggled sculpture, and my sculptures feel they need a function These two conclusions fuel my distraction and the devaluing of my work. I will destroy my paintings to transform them into sculpture. I will give a sculpture a purpose to transform it into an art object. And once I'm done playing, the paintings retire as an object and the art objects retire as sculpture. My work holds a softness to it, even my most destructive of works. I enjoy the balance between drastic destruction and delicate process. So this is the Alana Lindsay. As you can see, very deep in terms of the thinking, very deep in terms of the work. Now the next is Joyce Nebe. Oops, sorry about this. Joyce Nebe. Yes, hold on a second. Joyce Nebe, a clockwork toy. Very much like a kaleidoscope, in my opinion. So artist statement, gaming into mindfulness, interview with Joyce Navy by Rebecca Shines excerpt. It's a never-ending game of disintegration, a challenge the viewer by not living up to his or her expectations. I'm denying the satisfaction of solving the riddle hidden within the depths of my artwork by turning his film's cabinet of curiosity into an intriguing jigsaw puzzle of hybrid geometric patterns. Joyce Neb teases the viewer into accessing his game. He believes riddle games of this kind sparks creativity and pass on the role of the artist to the viewer, taking the reason prisoner. To Neb, fantasy and creative intelligence are important survival skills today. So is chess, an analogy he keeps referring to. Chess exemplifies my game with the viewer in a world of shortening attention span. It's an ideal concentration practice. One always has to think a few steps in advance. By screening the insanity of our daily chase toward evolutionary bankruptcy, Neb, in a clever move, takes the reason prisoner, only to appoint reason to be the king of his game of chess. He calls for the close review of the encyclopedia of our philosophical and cultural foundation. In his opinion, reason has the potential to direct the path away from the horror vacui. He is depicting the model of enlightenment has increasingly been discredited wrongfully, I believe. Today's survival and coexistence are only possible if governed by the faculty of reason. Labeling and connoting the intellectual categories help to bring new relations into sight and to gain unexpected terms of knowledge. The interview essay, Gaming into Mindfulness, has been published in Humanized magazine issue 11. And now the title and description, reality is gone, only shivers of reality survive, worse than modern times. Colleges of Dada artists, shivers are so many times broken that they cannot be put together again in order to reconstruct reality of an adequate image of reality. That means reality is lost, out of reach forever. Mental landscape and theoretical assumption, the ideologies take over uncontrolled forever. And then you can also have there are some film links. I don't know if did I include this. Oops. Yes, I've included also the film links. So if somebody wants to explore, feel free. Now on to the next artist, very interesting. Lenny Chapman, air drawing. Air drawing is created from waste packaging, carriage bags, and embroidery thread bound around a found wire cord. It's a part of a series which explores three-dimensional drawing and the ways in which our relationship to space captured within the piece changes as we move around it. It measures 115 centimeter by 88 by 40. So there is the installation work. She makes abstract work which takes the form of hand-stitched textiles, often utilizing waste plastic, acrylic paintings. A lifelong passion for drawing informs everything. She creates and the textiles explore the boundaries between drawing and thread. For the past 18 months, she's been creating sculptural forms with locked single-use plastic within the artwork to highlight issues around waste and the shortcoming of recycling. The act of collecting personal waste brings home the outrageous amounts we accumulate. Even when we are trying to cut down, plastics are not easy materials to work with. But I enjoy the challenge and the playfulness involved in creating unexpected outcomes from over-familiar, often ugly materials, presenting them anew, enhanced by thread and refreshed by a new perspective. It's titled Air Drawing, as you can see. So there you are. And then next one is the Seve Faber. I don't know how to pronounce this. Seve Faber Discipline Nebula. 2020 Mixed Media and Canvas. This painting is part of my series of artworks, which speaks of the theme of distracted landscape marked by the hand of humanity. The square, a geometrical form, is for me the sign of the human. It's a counterpoint to the organic forms created by nature. My works are interactive. The spectator can interact directly with the artworks, modifying it in order to make it reflect on its action, on its environment, and the respect it owes it. So again, it's very, very much connected to the environment, the external. So she's very passionate about the concept of integration. She concentrates on transcending the classical boundary between the artwork and the viewer. The main feature of her art is interactivity. The keywords that support her concept is being in interaction, be together, variation, be different, and activity, be active. The name for this experience is intervariactivity. Intervariactivity. And here we have a lot of inventiveness. Now, the final piece for this, and this is also the one that showed up by mistake with the first artist that I started with on this stream, is the Elijah Gribe bite, and it's very humane. The topic that he's exploring, Please Operate My Broken Hip. Please Operate My Broken Hip is one of the paintings made during COVID pandemic. It references my work as a carer during this time, combination of exhaustion and witnessing illness. At the beginning of the pandemic, I almost completely stopped painting because I work as a carer. It was the first time when care work was not only a side hustle for my art practice anymore. I felt like a carer first and only then a painter. I have seen the everyday of residents in the dementia specialist care home during COVID, where one is stuck inside for an unknown amount of time with so little support. Loved ones are not allowed to visit even when one is dying. Carers are given no time nor mental space to grieve even when so many deaths surround them. The figure in the painting is put against hard edges, shapes. Everything is distorted and confused. It references the alien reality of life during the pandemic, full of pain, illness, and twisted reality. I think very, very special, this piece. The artist made a statement. Elijah Gribe's paintings use brutal images from MMA fights and wrestling matches to help articulate self-assertion and dignity in abuse survival. The artworks open conversation about violence and showed gender identity, masculinity, and control over one's own body in the digital age. As a sexual abuse survivor, depicting fighting bodies and violent images helped Elijah confront the triggering imagery directly and reduce the everyday effect of abuse trauma. Practicing martial arts for Elijah has been a way to take control of their body and helped practice body awareness. The paintings create a contrasting space where freshly bodies are placed in an alien environment with hard edges, structures, blocks of bright colors, and parasite imagery. With this contrast, the artist explores human relationship with organic bodies and violence in the digital age. Figures in the paintings are engaging with each other in violent and sensual ways, but framed within the rules of competition. Performed fighting reflects the violent human condition and the ability to play by the rules. Fight scenes on popular media get lost between real violence and the show. I think very relevant. And with this, I'm actually finishing this exhibition. It was really a pleasure to be exploring together with all of you and also to be open sourcing this. So thanks everyone for joining me on this and also interacting and exploring together. Let's just see. Yeah, I think that's it for now. I'm going to, and I also have to, there's a, yeah, okay, that's it. It's good position because I still don't know if you can read the full text. It's a little bit strange on the screen in here. So thanks everyone for joining and staying with me, exploring this in togetherness and still enjoying the abstraction, getting some deeper layers of the mind and being part of the the work of these artists. So I'll see you next time. I don't know, I might be doing some piano practice later, or maybe painting, maybe rather painting, because now I'm very inspired with being exposed to this world. And also to the artists that are being featured in here. And when you are joining in here, apologies for my mispronouncing the name, sometimes messing up with the gender or any other mistakes I may have made. Unintentional, everything is done in good intention. And so hopefully that I'll see you next time. Have a great time, everyone. Thank you. Bye.